guys, we're back for another Dokkan battle video. Today we're going to go ahead and take a look at this right here. These are going to be the stats for the GT side of the Ultimate Red Zone. Last week we did the movie side. We looked at what a lot of the bosses were capable for doing, right? What the bosses could do. And we saw mostly the raw data for these bosses. Now, if we take... I don't know. I guess if we count just like the first 6 stages, I do think the GT side is harder than the movie side for sure. But it's just that the final boss of the movie Red Zone, Broly, is harder than the other 13 stages of the Red Zone combined, basically. Omega Shenron, despite being basically the hardest hitting boss in the game, it just pales in comparison to the difficulty of Broly. You can dodge Omega Shenron, which just instantly drops his difficulty, like, from a million, billion, zillion to half of that. Like, dodging is the strongest thing you could do. And the thing with Omega is he also has this countdown super attack. So it's not even like he's not going to catch you with his super attack. You always know where it's going to be, right? So because of that, it just makes this fight not nearly as difficult as Red Zone Broly. Let's take a look at a bunch of all the data for all the bosses. I'll just go ahead and we'll just pull it up preemptively, and then we'll just go ahead and take a look at it. Again, I would say that for the majority of the Red Zone, I do think that the GT side is harder. I think the GT bosses have tougher gimmicks a lot of the time. So the first fight we have here is Legic. Legic is a joke. I don't know what else to say. Legic just feels so weak. I've never really had difficulty with Legic. He just feels free. It's just the one phase. He does have 23 million HP. I mean, that seems like a sizable number, but it's just the one phase against a tech enemy. You could just get... Mono tech would turn this guy into a crash test dummy, right? Like, it's nothing he could do. He does have 500,000 super attack damage, but, I mean... That shows the difference between Stage 1 and Stage 7. Stage 7, it's 1.5 million. Here, it's 500k. Alright, so there's a Legic free fight. Lord Lude definitely is a tougher fight. I found him to be tougher. Wait, does Legic... Let's see. So, you can't do anything to him, and then he can dodge. Okay, that's what that symbol is, that he could dodge. Lord Lude, let's see. Yeah, normal attack range only around 200k. You know, very easy for almost all units to be able to sort of block that. Oh, interesting. He builds his attack up. Lude gets stronger as he supers. Interesting. Okay. But that's... I don't know that he really has enough health for you to really feel that. But that is interesting that he raises his attack. I did not know. And you can't do anything to his first phase, but you could defensive lower his phase where he absorbs Pan. He also does need to be defeated with a super attack. Not really anything too crazy for the Lord Lude, though. I like, when I was first doing these stages, it did feel like the first couple on both sides were similar-ish to God Event stages. Slug felt like the toughest of the 4, but... these stages weren't really too crazy. Now, it's hilarious, dude. We go from Lord Lude, who's, you know, he can be moderately difficult occasionally, I guess, to Raldo, who is like a huge jump in... Raldo is hard, dude. This is only stage 3. This guy is tough. Raldo is. So... SA damage is 500k, then his SA damage is 575, and then, damn, it jumps up to 728,000. His normal attack up to 260,000. So it looks like he can dodge all 3 phases. He's immune to everything right there. Immune to everything right here. And then in the final phase, the little prick begins, locking. As you guys know, locking is pretty much the most devastating thing that an enemy boss can do. Like, outside of, canceling dodge, right? Locking is really tough to play around. Well, I say play around, but there's not really playing around it, right? Unless you're using, like, a Senzu or a Dende to heal the status effect, which is definitely a legitimate strategy, but, you know, keep in mind in Red Zone, you only have 1 item slot, so... Are you going to use, like, a Senzu, even if you have full health, just to cancel Rildo's lock? It is something you can look into doing. The other thing that makes this guy really tough is he does lower your defense every phase. Now, it's not listed here, but I am quite certain. I believe this Raldo also debuffs your attack. I've never really found enemies debuffing your attack to be the biggest deal. The more pressing concern is the fact that he does lower your defense in all these phases. Again, that's another thing. You guys know how tough it can be when bosses are lowering your defense. They're really able to just eradicate you. I mean, this guy will lock you in slot 1, super you instantly for 700k, lowering your defense, and then whittle you down with normal attacks, right? This fight, like, the first 2 fights are nothing, and then Raldo is actually one of the toughest fights in the game, easily one of the hardest bosses in the game. This guy is ridiculous, this Raldo fight. Like, you do not want to sleep on this fight. He is very, very tough. He doesn't have great type coverage, though, right? Like, you could come in here with a mostly int team, and it's not like he has a physical... Like, this fight would be so much more difficult if this second phase was physical instead of AGL. But they didn't give him that type coverage. So you could come in here with mostly int characters. Probably the best way to do it, so that, you know, the lock is less effective. But you do want to be careful. Raldo's where things start getting tough. Then we have Baby. For a point in time, Baby was the hardest fight in the game. Baby is so ridiculous. Let's take a look at this. So, alright, keep in mind, JP Dokkan just had an update. This Baby's super attack is now not a Ki Blast super. It's now just like an undefined or other super attack. So you do want to keep that in mind. Yeah, Baby lowers your attack and defense and does really quite a bit of damage. 562. I've had many turns where this Baby has, like, blasted my asshole inside out. Then he goes to the second phase, damage up to 672,000, okay. Then he gets to this. The thing about Baby that makes it, like, how do I say this? Not as bad as the fight could have been, is that, again, he doesn't really have that type coverage, right? There's no STR phase in here. So really what you want to do in fighting Baby is just bring as many physical units as possible, right? Physical Super Saiyan 3 Goku, you know, EZA LR Physical Cell, you know, just load up on those characters because these last 2 phases are int. So this guy does 756,000, that's quite a lot. Wow, dude, Grade 8 Baby hits for 1 million. Holy shit. Dude, the fight on the other end is Android 13, who is like a joke of a fight. This guy is ridiculous. Because, okay, so you get through the first 3 fights where, you know, you've already chipped away 70 million HP. He has 37 million. His normals are doing 270k. His AoEs do 313. Okay, nice. That's fair. AoE chance 18%, max 7 per turn? What? I think the most I've seen is 4. I've seen Baby AoE 4 times. It gets ridiculous because, you know, again, physical Super Saiyan 3 Goku, I think a lot of us would agree that he's one of the best units in the game. But a lot of his defense comes in on super attack, right? My Rainbowed Link level 10 Super Saiyan 3 Goku, I've seen him he takes 100k from these AoE normals. Like, it's actually insane how tough this Baby fight is, right? Like, dude, he's doing an AoE, like, I've had him AoE slot 1 4 times before. So any characters in slots 2 or 3 are eating all those AoE hits. You guys know, every good unit in the game that comes out now, they're getting massive amounts of defense when they super attack or on their super attack effect. Baby is able to just cut you down before you can really get a chance to do that. And then on Baby's super attack, he stuns you. Yeah, he does guaranteed stun you on his super attack as well. The one thing, though, is that Phase 2, 3, and 4 are all Ki Blast super attacks. There's numerous units that can sort of block or play around Ki Blast supers. LR Janemba, Android 17 and 18, Android 19 and 20, right? Majorly powerful units. And again, there's no STR phase in here. So, you know, you just, you know, line yourself up with as many physical units as possible, and then you go just disintegrate this Grade 8 Baby. But you can get really unlucky with his AoEs, and he can toast your ass. This Baby is really tough. Then we get the Super 17. Super 17 is also ridiculously powerful. Yeah, 600. I knew it, man. 250 and 250. These two Android 17s right here, this is only a two-phase fight, Super 17, right? These two 17s are so powerful for what you're getting on turn one. Like, I've had major difficulties with these guys a lot. Keep in mind that many powerful units, right? You might think of like Tech Ultimate Gohan, EGL Kid Gohan, EGL, Cell, all these types of characters. Turn one, they can get toasted by these two Android 17s right here. These guys are very strong. Only 16 million HP. I felt like it was much higher when I was fighting them. They seem to last. Many times I'll do this fight and it's like turn 4 and one of these 17s is still alive, right? They're pretty tough. No super special gimmicks. They can dodge, but they don't really have any super special gimmicks. Then you fight Super 17. Yeah, dude. Yep, a million. Because I remember my very first time I ever fought Super 17, I transformed with LR Tech Gogeta, turn 4, put him in slot 1. I saw the super attack. I said, ha, bitch, I win. And then he supered my LR Tech Gogeta for 500k or whatever the hell it was. I was like, oh, okay. Damn, his attack is 370. This Super 17 is tough. 370,000 defense is what you need to tank double digits from him. And then the huge million damage. The other thing that's really tough about him, he absorbs Ki Blast super attacks. Not nullifies or blocks, he absorbs them. He gets the HP from any super attacks, Ki Blast super attacks you throw at him. So if you're going to beat this 17, you have got to make sure that you have a team of not Ki Blast super attacks. That's what made this guy a very scary fight for the Goku and Goku family team, is because the Goku and Gohan unit both, before and after exchange, they're just Ki Blasts. And, you're just perpetually healing Super 17 while he's peppering you with 370k and then a million damage super attacks. Super 17 is pretty tough. Okay, so let's take a look at the Shadow Dragons right here. So while this fight would normally be really quite difficult, the thing about it is that it's just so long. This fight goes on for so long that you can easily cheese this. You could take the Universe 6 Girls theme in this, and you're dancing on this stage. You'll have no trouble whatsoever, right? It's just, you just sort of make it through the first fight, the first phase right here, Hei's Shenron, and then the girls will disintegrate it. It's just too long, right? Like, you just have too many opportunities to build your characters up before, like, these guys disintegrate you. Because it's like, so this guy is doing 500k turn 1, Baby was higher than that. Yeah, Baby's doing 562 right there. You just have a lot of time to sort of build up. I don't think there's anything special about Hei's. He doesn't do anything. The second Shadow Dragon nullifies Ki Blast supers, but he does not absorb them like Super 17. He only nullifies them, that's all. Oceanus never really felt like too much of a threat. She changes Ki Spheres, but that's it. She doesn't have, like, any super special gimmicks. She just changes Ki Spheres. Oh, boo-hoo. It doesn't really matter too much. Naturon Shenron. This guy's where I feel like it starts to get tough. Yeah, because look at the damage. 500k, 537, 575. Jumps up to 700k right here on this guy's super attack. He also will randomly seal a character, which can be tough. You guys know. Most good units in the game nowadays are getting a lot of defense when they super attack. So this Shenron sealing you really does end up being quite an annoyance to have to deal with, right? Getting sealed by this guy all the time. Because, some character that could potentially be very powerful in terms of, like, defensively can get sealed by this guy, and then they're not really so strong defensively. So then we go into Nova. Now, Nova... yeah, he's doing more damage. Look at this. Yeah, he has more attack, 340, and he's doing basically an extra 60,000 on his super attack damage as well. Not as big of a jump as I would have thought, though. I thought Nova's numbers were way higher than Ice Shenron's, and they're really not. So Nova can dodge, but he's basically the hardest hitting boss in the fight, right? He also does 9 attacks, whereas Ice does 8. Ice has a higher super attack chance, though. Nova has more HP as well. Yeah, higher defense, higher attack, all that. Nova's where you do want to be careful because, again, he's an STR unit. He could just blow your ass out of there, basically doing 1,000,000 damage on his super attack. And then the final phase is definitely scary because ice does lock you. But it's like, typically, I've found that this happens so deep into the fight where it's like his lock is less of a concern, right? Even though he's locking you and then supering you for 900,000 damage, if you have defensive stacking characters, which this is a fight where you would go into as stackers, you're not going to get one shot probably if he locks you in slot 1, right? So it's just less difficult, I think, to play around. Despite the fact that the numbers on this fight might jump off the page when you see, oh my god, he's nearly at 1,000,000 and shit like that, this fight, I think Janemba is a tougher fight. Janemba feels harder. Bojack is harder, right? Like, this fight just doesn't really feel that bad, all things considered. And you get to Omega. Omega is a real problem. So we go from, this is the first phase right here, and this is the second phase, and then this is the final phase. So in Omega's first phase right here, he can lock you and seal you. It's not guaranteed, though, which is good. His SA damage, I don't know why there's 2 numbers here, because he lowers your attack and defense when he supers you. Yeah, he does have a chance to stun, doesn't I think... Have I seen him stun me before? I feel like he does. I feel like I have seen him stun me before. But he definitely does lower your attack and defense. The thing about this first phase of Omega, though, right? Like, it is... If you're going for, like, a no-item run or something like that, or even if you're not going for a no-item run, many times I've started this fight, Omega has immediately locked the character in slot 1 and super attacked and instantly killed me before I could even do anything, right? It definitely does happen like that. But he's not guaranteed to lock and seal you. And it is in phase 1. So it's like you can sort of play around it. The other thing, too, both the Broly fight, the toughest fight in the game, and then Omega's fight right here have like a kind of a secret. Well, not really a secret, but this fight is not... He's not immune to anything, right? Like, you could do literally everything. That you could attack debuff him, defensive debuff him, stun him, seal him. You can hit this Omega and the Shadow Dragons with everything. They're susceptible to everything. So it's like there are very powerful units, like Physical Super Saiyan 3 Goku is the best one that comes to mind, who he's a ridiculously powerful unit, but he gets stun, right? So Physical Super Saiyan 3 Goku is one of the strongest physical units in the game, which you'll want for this final phase against in Omega. He can stun this first phase, right? STR Kid Buu can stun this phase. Rakumen Goldo could stun this phase, right? You have a lot of characters where you could potentially get a stun. The Exchange Goku and Gohan, right? Goku has a 50% chance to stun. So Xeno Super Saiyan Goku, the Dragon Ball Heroes Goku family support, right? You have a lot of options for characters where you could keep this guy stun locked. So even though, he'll still be sealing and stunning you, he can't do anything because you're stun locking him. You're sealing him. You're attack debuffing him. So while he is tough, you can sort of play around with that. Then he goes to STR Sind him. He's up to 40 million. Okay. 340 attack, which is high. Then his damage is 1,000,000 right there. Okay. Definitely a lot. But what makes it tough, this is why this is, again, one of the toughest fights in the game, is because phase 1 is int, phase 3 is int, but phase 2 is STR. So Omega does have the type coverage against you. That's what makes him really scary, right? Because it's like, whereas a lot of these fights, like, let's use Baby as an example. You load up on physical type characters, but there's no STR phase to cuck you. But Omega does. He does. The second fight is STR, so you got to be very careful. You're just gonna want like a good AGL unit in there. Like AGL Kid Gohan comes to mind. Obviously, he's one of the best characters for this fight. AGL Super Vegito is a very common character people might have who can work very effectively in here. Now, that's basically it for Sin. Then you get to the final phase. This is the hardest hitting like boss in the game. 450,000 he does on normals, right? And then 1.5... This is basically 1.6 million damage he does on super attack. But the thing about it is a countdown super. So he's always going to super attack in the last slot of like his second turn. So because you know of that, you can easily play around this, right? There are many characters that can either tank or dodge this. AGLUI Goku is another great character for this fight. Because, if he gets locked and sealed in slot 1 in the initial round, he could dodge everything for you. He's got type advantage over STR Sin, and then he potentially can dodge the KO attack from Omega as well. So there is a lot of options to potentially sort of get around this Omega phase. One thing I have seen before is one time I did have LR Future Gohan die and revive. It was Omega was going to super attack, but I believe he did like 2 attacks in the last slot, and then the last attack would have been a super attack. So he had finished this countdown, then he killed Future Gohan. Then at the start of the next turn, Omega did super attack in slot 1, but that would only be a very specific scenario where Omega would finish his countdown, and then the turn would end before then, right? So it's like, I think only like a revive character could trigger that, right? Where Omega would finish his countdown, then the turn would end, and then his countdown is still done, so he'll super attack. I think the way it would work is that the super attack would go in all of his different countdown phases, right? So he could, his first attack of the turn could be one of the countdowns. If it's already at 0 and you had a revive character die, then he could super attack slot 1. So that is something to keep in mind, LR Future Gohan, maybe LR Master Roshi, LR UI Goku, LR Evolution Blue Vegeta. You revive with one of these characters. Keep in mind that he could potentially then super attack slot 1 in the next turn, right? Because his his countdown could have already ended. But there we go. There is all of the GT Red Zone bosses. It's like basically if you just take Broly away from the movie side, the GT side definitely feels tougher to beat. It's just Broly himself is just so much more difficult than like every other boss nearly combined, right? But you have, Omega, Super 17, Baby, and Raldo are also all supremely difficult fights. The Shadow Dragons can be fairly tough as well, right? Especially once you get to the end against Ice and Nova. So there we go with all the details there. So we have all these. And then I want to give the credits. So we got the data from Luke Data. Raspy did the graphics. And then we have some additional credits for Air Dokkan and Matryoshka right there. So let me know what you guys think about all of the GT bosses and their stats. While a lot of these bosses are very tough, there are several ways to beat each of them. I do like the Red Zone overall. I would really like for them to continue working on this, right? Like give us... let's say Worldwide Download Celebration is, like, Vegito Blue and something. Like, make, like, the Future Saga Red Zone, right? Where it just goes through all the, fights that happen in the future or something. I think it would be very awesome. Because one thing about the Red Zone as of right now is that we only really have... every fight is against villain characters. So any character that gets stronger against, like, hero characters, superclass characters, let's just take LR Full Power Frieza as an example... he's not able to get to max power in the Red Zone, so I would like for them to make a Red Zone stage of hero characters to sort of make it fair to the villains, right? Let me know what you guys think, though, of the GT Red Zone stages. Thanks to Luca Dokkan and the crew for the stats. Again, let me know what you guys think. Thanks for watching, and I'll catch y'all next time.